Hello, welcome to Slow Play. This is episode 2. I'm the host, Mitchell. This is the co-host, Heather.
Hello.
How you doing? So we did last week's episode last week. The debut episode, or the reboot, depending on how one wants to look at it if you're in the inner circle. But as far as I'm concerned, it was episode 1 last week. And
as far as iTunes is concerned, it was episode 1 last week.
iTunes I'm still having a problem with, but we're getting there, working on that. So the last week there was no introductions of any sort. It was just like, this is the show. I was thinking of it as almost like a pilot. Mm-hmm. And my whole rationale on not really talking about myself too much was that nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows who you are. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking in the universal sense, but in a macro sense, but also just in a micro sense. Nobody knows who I am. So I figured, why waste time with all that bullshit? Let's just get into the stories. But now that it's been a week, maybe people want to know a little bit more about where I'm coming from when we get into these issues and stuff, because I think I have a particular look about me that screams I have bad opinions about things. I know that people that have my look have generally bad opinions on things, and we all think our opinions are super important, and we all start a podcast out of our living room. It's become such a trope, and I am a statistic, but
you're a cisgender white male.
I am. So that's why I want to bring in other opinions like you and stuff, other people that aren't just another fucking white dude yelling into the microphone. It's fucking annoying. Even people that I love, like Adam Carolla, a big inspiration to me in the podcast world.
Yeah.
I've listened to him for so many years, I feel like I can get his opinion on things without even having to hear him. Mm-hmm. I can read a news story and kind of do the math. And I want people to know why I started doing this in the first place, which is that my life doesn't really have a lot of meaning. And I know this sounds dark, but it only sounds dark because we're not used to hearing people talk this way, but we're all thinking it at least at one point in time. Mm-hmm. My life has nothing at this point. I'm 34 years old. I've experienced enough cool shit in life to where I feel like I'm on track. Like, I'm doing all right. I feel pretty good about my life up to this point, but we are hitting a point of no return in, like, if I don't start doing something now, it's going to be too late. It's going to start derailing. Yeah. This whole fucking thing is going to start derailing. I don't have a wife or kids or anything, which is generally a thing that people seem to think gives their life meaning. I don't have any abilities or skills or talents. Mm-hmm. I have nothing. I went to school. That was pretty cool, like 10 years ago. I can't really rest on that achievement anymore. I need to start achieving more shit lest I just start going through the circle, the routine of going to work every day, coming home, playing video games for fucking 4.5 hours, and going to bed and repeating the bullshit and having nothing to show for it. I'm an uninteresting person.
So what you're saying is you're a prime target for a cult to just come swoop you up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is why I'm such a hardcore juggalo. And people always make the joke of like, oh, the juggalos, is that some kind of cult? And I'm always like, I wish it were, because then I would be at the cult meeting all the time. Yeah. Instead, it's more of a loosely organized hybrid gang, if you want to listen to the FBI.
Yeah,
but I digress. So where do you land on that? Do you feel that your life has... why are you here? There's got to be some kind of hole in your heart right now, or you wouldn't be here helping me with this.
Yeah, absolutely. I am at a point in my life where I'm looking for projects that make me feel creatively fulfilled. I think that my hopes of being a child prodigy have finally crashed on the rocks.
A child prodigy in what? Just anything?
Yeah.
I mean, anything? I hope one...
Well, that was growing up in the late 80s and early 90s. Is that anyone can be president.
Totally.
You're a little genius. You're also... pat you on the head and give you a participation. We're the first generation to get the participation trophies. Like, we were told that we were destined for great things. And then some of us ended up in retail management, and that's maybe not...
Nothing wrong with that. Do you feel you were misled in being told that you were a special child? I don't know. I think you're
to the extent that my parents would have me believe, yes, but that's everybody's parents.
I feel like you're an example of proving it right, because I think you do have unique talents that are waiting to be shared with the world.
I think you have skills and talents. When you said you didn't have any, I was like a little bit offended. Like, why do you think I'm friends with you then?
Ooh, okay, well, there you go then. So this is why we need each other for this, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is this a skill? I don't know. It's like I can't play any instrument. That's kind of the thing. When I think of a skill or a talent, that's always the thing that I go to, which is like, that's a thing that requires years of work.
Well, it is a rare person that you can disagree with and then not get pissed off at you, which you are really good at, which I also pride myself at being somewhat good at. I think also it's like whenever we did the podcast years ago, and I had everybody do the D&D test to see if they were neutral,
the
evil,
alignment chart,
the alignment, and you got true neutral. I was like, I don't know how else you could possibly have scored on that.
Good.
Like,
I don't remember that exact. I remember doing it. I didn't remember my results, but
but I think that's a rare personality trait. And that's because it is rare, that inherently gives it value, but also the other parts of who you are and the skill set that you've developed and your interest in current events and news, and you do have opinions about things, but you're very logical and rational and willing to admit when you don't know something, which is also like sort of an unusual quality in a lot of people.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Well said. Good. Okay. Well, it's time to start applying those things then. And everybody has those things like that. Like, if they can't do what I'm doing, like something that kind of annoys me. We talked last week about how I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, director, but he's also a podcast pioneer in his own right. And something that always kind of irks me that he always gets into is like, start a podcast. Anybody can do it. And it's not just him. Like all of the greats say this. Adam Carolla says it, and Chris Hardwick has said it, and Joe Rogan has probably said it.
Yeah.
By the way, we just listed off four white dudes with opinions. They all have this thing of like, anybody can start a podcast. It's not true. For one thing, there is a technical element to this where if you don't have somebody showing you, or you're not good at figuring that shit out, you're already at a roadblock. And something I regret a few years ago is I had been talking to you about setting you up with your own podcast, and I tried to show you how to do it, and I made it way more complicated than it had to be, which is what I realized over the following days. Like, I was figuring out my own shortcuts. Like, shit, I was showing her the most pain in the ass way to do this, to the extent that it never even got off the ground. What I should have done is said, I'll just come over and do all this shit for you. So there's that. First of all, there's the technical roadblock of it from the start. The second most important thing, in no particular order, is that all those dudes I just mentioned all had built-in fan bases. So, of course, people are going to be like, I'm going to check out Kevin's podcast and hear what he has to say because I like his movies.
Yeah. Well, people are like that about stand-up too. You know, they're like, oh, just go do it. Just go, just write down all of this material, consolidate it into a solid 10 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, but that could take a year. I mean,
who says that? Do comedians say that, or these are people you know?
Comedians.
They say that it's as easy as just writing some shit. Maybe for them it is.
That's the thing is people who are like super successful at anything have this motivation and drive. Like they're at the top for a reason. Mm-hmm. There are tons of comedians who never really make that much money who are out there like doing shows, tours and stuff like that don't get a Netflix special or whatever. But it's just funny to hear somebody like, you know, I'm trying to think of who it was specifically. It was somebody like Jerry Seinfeld or something like that, who's just like,
would say that.
You just put in the work. You just go and you do it. And
Coming
you do it and you do it
I
over and over.
believe that he really believes that because he's such a black and white type
Louis
dude.
C.K. is kind of like that about stand-up too. It's like
we should all follow the Louis C.K.
yeah.
model.
But that's the thing is the just do it attitude comes from people who are like extraordinarily motivated people. Most people don't have that motivation or we'd all be out there trying to make it.
Totally. I totally agree with this. And it's like, it's a privilege of sorts to even be born with that amount of motivation.
Yeah.
But even what you see and hear before you now is a long way from where this started. Like I didn't have a camera. I didn't have a mixing board. I didn't have mics that even looked nice.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was using a Guitar Hero USB microphone. I didn't have a fucking chair. It looked like shit. I didn't have a table. Everything sucked. So over the years, I just like add to it a little bit and add to it a little bit. Right now, lighting is a problem, so I'll probably need to get some more of that. My apartment is too small and shitty and uncomfortable for this, so I'm going to need to be looking at doing this somewhere else. These are all things I've been looking at in the big picture. It'll get there eventually. That's part of where I get the name Slow Play from. It's like you're watching the shit build slowly from the start. So I just wanted to take some time to get into that a little bit. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Dynamite. Well, with that said, let's get into some topics here. Okay, this comes from king5.com. Not familiar with this website, but it looks to be some kind of local news. The headline is First Meat Grown in Space Could Help Solve a Global Food Shortage.
Space meat.
Space meat, right on. For the first time, meat has been produced in space without the need for slaughter. Israel-based startup Alf Farms announced that meat has been processed 248 miles above the Earth on the International Space Station through the use of a 3D bioprinter.
Wait, has meat been produced in space with the need for slaughter? Are cows fucking in space?
That's a weirdly worded sentence. For the first time, meat has been produced in space without the need for slaughter. I don't know if they're like qualifying it there. This time without slaughter. Alf says the process involves mimicking the natural process of muscle tissue regeneration that occurs in a cow's body, but doing it under controlled conditions. The Guardian reports bovine cells were harvested on Earth and taken to the space station. They were then grown into muscle tissue using the bioprinter. So I assume you sent this because you want to talk about whether you would eat the space meat.
Yeah.
Of course. Why else would you send this if that isn't where we were going to go to right away? So question the first. Would you eat the space meat?
Yes.
As would I.
Obviously.
For one thing, the space meat doesn't seem that different from the real meat. I mean, they are using bovine cells.
Yeah. The reason I don't eat soy burgers is because it doesn't really taste right and they're not readily available at the restaurants I eat at. So if they had space-grown meat or just lab-grown meat available at restaurants that I frequently visit, which are all of the popular ones,
right,
then I would probably go for that. That would be fine.
So this is for animal meat. For you, it's animal cruelty reasons. Like you would prefer to eat soy for that reason.
Yeah, it just doesn't taste good, and it's a hard transition to make. I mean, there's a reason not everyone is vegetarian.
Yeah. The space meat I would prefer. I mean, why not? Why would you not prefer the cruelty-free version? Probably the devil's advocate that would be people just feel weird about eating something that was made in a lab.
I
mean, look at even the cows we eat are so jacked up on God knows what that you're basically eating a test tube anyway.
I also wonder if they just are going to like placebo effect, like they're just going to think it doesn't taste as good or that it tastes weird or different or whatever.
I could see
but
that.
I'd have to try it myself to be able to tell whether that's, because I'm excited to eat it. I want it to taste like the real thing. And like, I would be okay with sacrificing a little bit of the taste. That's the thing though, is like, it's not really about the taste. It's availability. If there were, those soy burgers that actually taste pretty close to meat available everywhere, I would probably eat those. I really, after raising chickens several years ago, even though they are about the dumbest animals on the planet, they're really cute, and it makes me feel really bad whenever I buy the cheap chickens, so I just stopped doing it. The ones that are raised in the battery cages, and they're just all diseased and messed up. And like now when I get eggs at the grocery store, I can't even hardly stand to cook with those because the yolks are like yellow. Healthy chicken yolks are orange.
Ooh.
So those store-bought eggs are coming from very stressed out, malnourished chickens. And that is upsetting.
Why were you raising chickens? Just for fun?
Just for fun, yeah. They have free eggs and like really good quality eggs, like I was saying. So, and it's like easy.
Really good?
Yeah, they are really good for baking because they're sticky, and that's what you want in your baking. That's what you use eggs for, is to you want it to stick to everything and then solidify it into whatever.
I've heard there's a misconception about people seem to think that the yolks are like baby chickens. That's not correct, right?
No.
Okay. That's what people always
It
assume.
would be. That's where a baby chicken would be if it was a fertilized egg that was left out to...
But even the eggs that like aren't fertilized still have like the yolk in them.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily eating a baby chick. Like,
No.
Anyway. So...
Yeah, most of those chickens are raised where there's not even a rooster there, so they could not become...
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, fertilized.
So, yeah, obviously we're all monsters for eating meat the way that we are. I mean, eating meat is one thing, but, it only takes like one food documentary to show you all the fucked up shit they're doing to animals.
Can never do it comfortably again. I can barely go to the zoo. I will never go to another circus, that's for sure.
Oh.
When I was a kid, Dumbo like messed me up. I couldn't go to the circus after that.
That's good then. It sounds like Dumbo's doing like actual real important work aside from the weird racism in it, but the other part of it seems to be working. So this article also goes on to mention that it could solve like our world hunger problems here on Earth, which I'm all fucking about. If they think that this is a step towards that, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Imagine all the shit that we waste on a daily basis. We definitely could be feeding the world. If this is a way to be getting closer to that, I'm into it. I'm sure that the fucking starving people here in America and in other countries aren't going to have a problem with the science-y part of it.
Beyond that, like all the problems that it causes having massive amounts of cows, all the methane in the atmosphere and other various issues that come along with raising thousands of head of cattle in one area.
I always figured that we were heading towards the 3D printing of food. So I think maybe once that the 3D printing gets more ubiquitous, that's just going to replace our entire kitchen pretty much.
Well, yeah, we'll just have the replicator from Star Trek, essentially. That's always been my dream.
God, that was like the most dorkiest moment I've ever seen from you. I'm still holding out for that holodeck. But no.
You mean the Sex Matrix?
That's the only reason I want it. I wasn't going to specify that part, but it's the only thing I know about Star Trek, and it's because that's the only reason I want it.
Yeah.
So, 3D printing food, that's going to come with its own, like, you can buy the McDonald's whatever the fuck and get your McDonald's printed right to your house. I mean, that's how it will be. Maybe in our lifetime, but certainly assuming humanity lasts long enough to get there, we'll figure that part of it out. Where you hit a button and McDonald's Big Mac formulates in your kitchen.
Well, it's funny that we're like going two directions at once, because there was a time many years ago when you had your milk and groceries and stuff, you could have that delivered to your house. You like pay the grocery boy an extra $10 or maybe probably not that much, a nickel to bring them to your house.
A farthing.
Yeah. And then we're back to that with the DoorDash and Grubhub and stuff. So it's like a strange return to the past where like, housewives couldn't leave because they were taking care of the kids and they didn't want to get out to the grocery store, have the groceries delivered. And now no one ever wants to go anywhere because why leave your house?
Yeah, now it's like it's cyclical, but for a totally different reason because that's not the reason anymore, right? I mean, now it's just because
it was because they were working too hard to go get groceries, taking care of the kids and stuff, and now we're too lazy to go.
Well, yeah, there is also though the working too hard component of it, but just maybe not necessarily with the kids, or maybe with the kids, but. Every time like we figure out a way in society to save time, we always just use it to do more fucking work. Yeah. It's never like, oh, we've totally eliminated the need for a library with the internet. So that's just that much more time we can save fucking going to work. Nothing ever gets any easier. Like every time we solve some shit, just more bullshit comes with it. But as far as printing the food and stuff goes, this is a trippy concept, but wrap your head around it, if you will. Downloading food off the internet, like the Napster of fucking hamburgers. Gosh. So the question now is, would you eat like downloaded food? People would
an unlicensed cheeseburger.
Especially broke people would be doing it the way we all downloaded music and stuff before doing it legally became so easy. It's just like downloading anything else off the internet.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably going to work, but it might not. Only now the stakes are way higher because it's not your computer you're virusing, it's yourself.
Well, yeah, if it's just like you're replicating chemical compositions of things, God, like how could you even have a patent? I mean, one of the things I think of because I'm obsessed with perfume, it's perfume. Like how could you have a patent on perfume if the formula is out there, or if you can stick it into your little, home grade, what are those? Dang it. It analyzes the molecular structure of things. They use it in like forensics or whatever. I can't think of the name of it.
Forensics.
Well, hey, at this point, you would have to have one because if you wanted to recreate something, you got to be able to analyze what's in it.
Well, there's going to be copy protection on that shit somehow because they don't want you. You have to like agree to the terms of service before you eat the hamburger. That's like, you will not run this in the reverse mode. Whatever.
A mass spec. That's what the machine is called.
Oh, of course.
A mass spectrometer.
Another story here. This comes from Fox News. Yes, I'm sorry, people. I use a variety of news sources. This is one of them. It says, Hollywood divided over Ellen DeGeneres hanging out with George W. Bush at a football game. It says, Ellen DeGeneres has found herself at the center of a raging controversy after being photographed at a Dallas Cowboys football game with former President George W. Bush this past weekend. DeGeneres, 61, why do they always do that? They put the age after the name.
Yeah.
It's like it's a cyborg. DeGeneres, 61, took heat on Twitter for spending time with someone at the opposite end of the political spectrum. She followed up with a statement on her show saying, I'm friends with George Bush. In fact, I'm friends with a lot of people who don't share the same beliefs that I have. We're all different, and I think that we've forgotten that it's okay that we're all different. But just because I don't agree with someone on everything doesn't mean that I'm not going to be friends with them. So, since Ellen has been caught in the raging controversy of being within a few feet of George Bush without choking him, she's gotten some support. It looks like Reese Witherspoon is backing her. Kristen Bell is backing her as well.
Yeah.
Got a handful of celebrities talking shit about her or whatever. So,
well, I think she should be allowed to be friends with whoever she wants, but I also challenge her to be friends with George Bush at a time when it was not cool.
Yeah, I would have to do the digging on that. So, now we have another story from Huffington Post. It's about the same thing. The headline is Reese Witherspoon and Kristen Bell slammed for supporting Ellen DeGeneres. So here we have two news sources here on opposite ends of the ideology.
Yeah.
Fox News saying Hollywood divided over Ellen DeGeneres hanging out with George Bush.
Yeah.
Huffington Post saying Reese Witherspoon and Kristen Bell slammed for supporting Ellen DeGeneres. Well, now we're getting one step further away from the base facts. Whereas I'm going to fucking make a controversial statement here and say Fox News was a little more fair in this particular headline.
Yeah.
It's still stupid for both of them. The reason being everyone's divided on everything. So Fox News still trying to make themselves look like victims by saying, like Ellen can't even be seen with a Republican without dividing Hollywood. So they're playing the victim card for themselves. Huffington Post is playing to people's insecurities about being on the wrong side of an issue by implying if you don't agree with us on this, you're going to get slammed, just like Kristen Bell and Reese Witherspoon did. So they're leading people that way. But everyone's is divided on everything all the time. So it's so easy to come up with any issue at all. Any issue that you feel any type of way about, come up with the tweets that support your point of view, make that your headline. Fucking... Let's say that you hate chocolate ice cream. You find 10 tweets that say fuck chocolate ice cream, and you're like, Twitter overwhelmingly slams chocolate ice cream because you fucking found 0.1% of the total of the tweets that would justify you in saying that. So,
well, I'll beat up all 6 people who were shitty to Kristen Bell about it because she's my girlfriend.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes.
You should have her on the pod sometime. She is adorable. So now I'm looking at Huffington Post, like slamming Reese Witherspoon and Kristen Bell, and it's just random Twitter accounts with like 50 likes, 33 likes, 98 likes. This one
not exactly viral.
This one here actually has 3,000. So good for that person, I guess. But point is, it's just a drop in the bucket. I mean, you can find 3,000 weirdos to agree with anything. And when we're talking about how many people have Twitter, millions, probably.
Yeah.
How many people live in America? Like 380 million.
Something
and then
like that.
How many people live on planet Earth? Like 7 billion. So when we're talking about tweets with like 50 likes, we're talking statistically about almost nobody.
Yeah.
So do you have anything more to say about that?
That's fair.
Thank you. What else looks good? Okay, this next story comes from the Daily Dot, and it says Kylie Jenner takes down Bugatti Instagram post after backlash. And here we have a picture of Kylie Jenner looking very hot. The story says Kylie Jenner faced backlash on social media this week after sharing a video of her new Bugatti. Though it's not the first time Jenner has shared a Bugatti on Instagram, the young billionaire flaunted her own ride over the weekend, according to Page 6. The Bugatti Chiron is worth an estimated $3 million, and critics flooded to the post to share their thoughts on how the money could have been better used. So here you have a picture of Kylie Jenner posting on sitting on top of her Bugatti, I guess, with what appears to be a Lamborghini or something back there as well. So she's clearly just flaunting her wealth, as they do, as the Jenners are wont to do. And you have fucking random people getting on her ass about, why don't you spend that money the way that I want you to spend it instead? Where do you land on this? I'm right on the bat. I'm just like, can't we just fucking let people do what they want without constantly haranguing them?
Yeah, no, I mean,
even the super wealthy and annoying like Kylie Jenner.
In my opinion, super wealthy people, if they are, what could it possibly require to maintain a luxurious lifestyle? Like $250,000 a year, $500,000 a year. Let's call it $500,000 a year. In my opinion, every dollar over that $500,000 should be spent on charitable causes, or else they're not great people to me. which is pretty much 100% of all celebrities.
I agree that there's better ways she could spend the money, but I don't think harassing her is the way to get that done.
Yeah, no, I'm not fretting about it.
I mean, she's probably in her 20s or whatever by now.
She's like 22 or something.
She's still has plenty of time to realize her life could drastically change at any time. Let her do what she does the way that she does it and just get off everyone's back. If you hate it so much, go fucking earn your own Kardashian money and spend it however the fuck you want. And I don't think it's right for her to be spending her money like crazy like that. But get off of her ass about it, because you're no better. The person that's shouting at her, you're doing your own stupid, fucked up thing.
Right.
You're probably not giving enough to charity yourself. And they're probably giving out way more than we'll ever even earn in a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
thing. For tax reasons and shit. But still, it still counts.
Even if it's 1% of her income, that's how many thousands or millions of dollars, or I don't know.
She's probably doing more for fucking the community than I ever will. And I know nothing about her charitable donations or acts or whatever, but it's doing shit like that, keeping up her brand by looking hot on $3 million cars that keeps people's attention on her and could one day position her to be in a position to make change the way Kim Kardashian does. She fucking does getting people out of jail and shit like that.
Well, that's the question is, what do you think her job is?
That is her job.
Right. So she's doing her job.
Totally.
That's how she makes her living.
Right.
Like, she is a model or celebrity personality, whatever.
Influencer.
Yeah. Then, okay.
And it's probably hard. That job is probably so much harder than it looks. Because for one thing, for that very reason, everything you do is going to be nickel and dimed and scrutinized.
You just have to live on a treadmill too. All celebrities are like obsessed with going to the gym. Their body is their product, and they have to make it. It has to be perfect all the time.
That's why Kanye got liposuction.
Right.
So that part of it is like. That's the part of it that people don't seem to consider when they talk about like her privileged life and stuff.
Yeah.
Her life probably sucks sometimes.
Yeah, I fucking hate running.
At its best, her life is probably amazing. At its worst, her life is probably worse than we can ever imagine.
Yeah. Well, and probably worse than she imagines at 22. She'll maybe look back and be like, this is just so many empty hours filled with
perhaps
eating rice chips on a treadmill.
I mean, you're really hung up on the workout aspect of this.
Well, that is how they spend so much of their time. And getting spray tanned and, their eyebrows plucked. It's just every day. I'm sure there's something else that she has to do to her body to keep it maintained. She has 20 people hired just to make sure she's moisturized all the time. She
also has to. How do I get that job? Mm-hmm. She also has to watch every fucking thing that comes out of her mouth, everything that she does. One of those Jenners got mixed up in that fucking Pepsi commercial bullshit or whatever. Could have been her. Who can
it's a real job
anymore.
She works.
I could not do it, even if I was born looking as hot. If I was born with her exact genetic makeup, physically, this is a weird thought experiment, so stay with me on this.
Okay.
I had the same brain that I have now when I was born into her like affluence and circumstance as well.
Yeah.
I would not be able to do that job because for one thing, I don't know shit about what looks good. She probably has a million people around her telling her like wear this, but I'm sure she has some kind of an eye for that kind of stuff herself, which I don't. So I have no idea how to look good. I would not be able to do the work it takes. I can't even post on my own fucking Instagram every day. She probably has to hit like some kind of quota or some bullshit. Yeah. You've got to have just fake people around you all the time. It's got to be nerve-wracking. Yeah. Having no idea who to listen to who to trust. And in her case, even her own family, it's like,
right.
is this real or is this for the show?
Yeah.
I don't even know. The lines are blurred.
I feel if I had like that kind of money, I would just go like Howard Hughes crazy. I wouldn't. Ooh. I would eventually just like isolate myself, have some like crazy project that I work on that's like people are like, it'll never work, you know, like
that's part of the fantasy.
Yeah.
You don't even know what the project is, but you look forward to people telling you it will never work.
And having like 3-inch long toenails or
right on. So on that note, that kind of dovetails in this other thing I saw here. Speaking of the annoying parts of celebrity, this comes also from the Daily Dot, same website. It says Jennifer Lopez sued for sharing paparazzi photo of herself.
It was a good picture.
An old Instagram post is catching up with Jennifer Lopez, and it might turn out to be pretty costly. Splash News has filed a lawsuit against the Hustlers star, alleging that she posted a paparazzi photo of her and Alex Rodriguez back in 2007, claiming it was copyright infringement. It says, quote, plaintiff never licensed the photograph to defend it. Nevertheless, Lopez used it without authorization or permission from the plaintiff to do so, reads a court document obtained by E! News. Specifically, Lopez or someone acting on her behalf copied the photograph and distributed it on Instagram via the J-Lo account on a story posted November 7th, 2017. These people can fucking kiss J-Lo's entire gigantic ass. She posted a picture of herself on Instagram.
Well, if she doesn't, does she make money off of that? Like, how would that be a copyright violation?
My gut is to say fuck no, but I'm sure they've fucking looked through some kind of like metrics to determine some bullshit way of arguing that she profited off of it. And if this is the picture,
I can see why she did it.
Is this a picture that she knew was being taken, or is she fucking being creeped on in the bushes? Because that's the most fucked up part.
Well, they're just following all the time. I think you get to the point where you're just like, there's another one over there. I just gotta live my life.
Way to live. No, it sounds awful. Everyone
they get paid. They're compensated.
Creeped on, and that's like a nice picture compared to the fucking probably tens of thousands of like bikini pictures of Jennifer Lopez just hanging out at the beach or at her own house, for that matter.
Yeah,
that shit's probably happening around the clock, and it's like, it's her fucking face. How come she can't sue that no one can? Why is that shit just allowed?
Yeah,
it drives me crazy. It's like the worst part of celebrity.
I don't understand how they could sue her for putting it on her Instagram, because it's like, if you have a professional photographer you hire to take pictures of your wedding, you can't then take those prints and then go pay to have them reproduced somewhere. That's a violation of the copyright, because the person that you paid is making money off of someone else's art. But if there's no money exchange, then where's the copyright violation?
Nowhere. What they're really doing is shaking her down. I know what the fuck this is.
Yeah.
They're going to sue her for some stupid amount of money. I don't know if it said there or not.
$150,000.
And then just get her to settle and be like, take my fucking $10,000 and leave me the fuck alone.
Let's sue someone.
This shit happens all the time.
Let's become paparazzis.
Let's become
and sue someone.
The new TMZ over here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I think that pretty well wraps things up. Do you have more to say about anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, we're gonna keep doing this for the foreseeable future. I'm gonna try to make the shit work, and anything that doesn't work, I'll figure that out as we come to it. But I appreciate people sticking in during this phase where it looks and sounds like shit and there's no real structure. There is a website now. There is slowplayonline.com, and that will get you to the podcast and the links for Facebook and YouTube and Twitter for now. I got to start tweeting more shit because I think of funny shit all the time. So
yeah.
I know that as we keep doing this, I'm going to say stupider and stupider things It's just the way that it has to be.
It's inevitable.
I'm going to say stupid shit, and then I'm going to go back and listen to it later and say, what the fuck was I thinking? And it might be that day, or it might be 10 years from now. It will be horribly problematic. Growing up as a boy in the 90s, I was born in 85, so really hitting the most developmental years in the 90s, when everyone was just horribly homophobic.
Oh, yeah.
As a boy, especially, horribly sexist. So I don't want people to be afraid to say what they think and then later admit they were dumb. And I want to be a role model for those people. For everyone that's ever said something dumb and then was too embarrassed to admit it, so they just double down on it and then quadruple it down on it. I mean, apparently that is good enough to get you to the White House. But I would like for people to know that if you say something dumb, it's okay to admit you were wrong. So
yeah, and not get fired from your job 20 years after the fact. Or get fired
from your job if it was that bad. Yeah. It just depends. But I'm going to be saying a lot of shit on here, and a lot of it's going to be dumb because that's just the way that it is. It's the way that it has to be. I hope that it is. I hope I say some dumb shit and then we figure out later why it was dumb.
I think that people are allowed to grow.
Allowed to grow. Good. I hope so. We'll find out. So I'm going to be adding stuff to the Facebook over time, all that shit. So go to Slow Play Online for all the links, like and follow and subscribe, all that shit. It would really help me out. I'm not sure what the numbers are for last week's episode, but I'm staying on top of it. So if that's it, then good day. I still feel like I need to sign off.
Farewell.
That sucks. Goodbye.